Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Melinda Michelle with another episode of My God and Me. And I'm on my way to work this morning. I'm in Florida and it's springtime and it's 40 degrees. Yeah, I'm not feeling that. So today I want to talk about the difference between faith and trust, right? Because we all know without faith we cannot please God. So that's like the bare minimum. That's what you gotta have in order to do this thing, this walk with Christ, right? So faith is believing He can. Trust is knowing He will. I know a little something about this because He thoroughly kicked my behind where trust was concerned. Okay, it was very, I don't even want to share half of it, but 2 years ago, March 2014. Many people know my story. God told me to quit my job to pursue this writing thing full time, which was, shocking to me. But anyway, that's neither here nor there now. So I was dependent on God to provide everything. And it was this one bill that there was a little drama with it, and finally it got situated and everything was working. And so for like 3 months, the money would just show up. I was very amazed. It was very cool because it was like I get to see God perform a miracle in my life every single month. And so for 3 months, it was like bam, bam, bam. I was like, wow, God, that's pretty awesome. And so it got to, so I'm waiting around this new month and like, okay, God, are you gonna provide? What's going on? What's going on? I don't see nothing. What's the problem? And excuse me. And it was like, okay, so what are you gonna do? The first week go by, some other days go by, and some more days go by. Oh, bro, we had the end of the month. It was the 30th. I think March has 31 days. Yeah, it was the 30th, and I had a fit. I absolutely and completely and utterly had a fit, because this was a situation where I literally know that you can do this. Like, I know you can do it. I just saw you do it. I see you do it every month. You providing for me, right? So why are you not doing this? I was so mad because I was so tired of this one fight, and I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. I went slap off on God, like no, for real. Like, I went in. So my boot time with God is at 5 o'clock in the morning. I went off so bad, I couldn't pray, I couldn't praise, and let me even talk about reading the Bible. No, I was hot, I was heated, I went off. And I was like, God, you said this, why are you doing this? Da, 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 da. I'm going off proper. And then I got really heated because I started naming friends of mine who He also sent on their path of purpose, but they didn't quit their jobs. He had to He had them fired because they wouldn't leave when He was telling him to leave. So I'm like, I left my job when you told me to leave, blah, 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 blah. I'm doing everything you told me to do, and you won't do nothing. I'm hot. Now you throw a temper tantrum, and you get tired after the temper tantrum. So after I was done. So I was tired. And I had laid out on the bed, right? So His response to me was to show me a scene in Saturday, the 7th book in the series. I got even hotter because I was like, I don't give a darn about these fictional characters. Why are you, what? Then it wasn't even a Jehovah Jireh story. It was a Jehovah Rapha story. So this ain't even the God that I need right now. Bruh, get your life. What's really going on? You play too much. I was hot. So this just happened to be a Sunday morning. So I got my little life together and I went to 8 o'clock service. And it was the first youth Sunday we had where a 15-year-old minister in training was actually teaching the word. And so he got up there, and the first thing he said, if it's above your head, it's at Jesus' feet. Like, okay. And then he said, you've been going through some things and you've been talking to God, da 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 da. So almost verbatim, his 15-year-old repeats what I said to God just that morning, just hours ago. So now I'm like, how dog ears perk up, like, what? So he said, God said, I don't have to tell you what I'm doing. All you have to do is trust me. Man, Listen, when I tell you I could have crawled up under the seat, like, you got to be kidding me. Like, did Jesus just throw shade at me? I think he did. No, it might not have been shade. It was real direct. You know, I was like, you talking about feelings hurt. So, I actually went to the altar that day, and because it was a very, very powerful lesson. And so later on that evening, one of a good friend of mine, I swear she's a prophet, she won't claim that, but anyway, I was talking to her, and she said, when you were down at the altar, I kept hearing God say, don't compare, don't compare, don't compare. So nobody knew I had compared myself to, you know, to other people in my tantrum that morning. And she was saying, God is saying that you cannot compare your journey to anybody else's, because your assignment is unique, and it's going to take a different way to get there. And there's certain things that he can't allow in your life because it's going to affect, you know, your ministry, your assignment. And it all made sense. You know, she gave me a lot of specific details. I was like, okay, God, I hear you. And so I calmed down. But March 2014 was the start of my trust journey. So we get through 2014. It was a little rough. And then come 2015 was pretty epic. It was very awesome, and God really, really just showed out. You know, I went on book tour. I met a lot of my readers. I met some amazing women. This amazing pastor in North Carolina, and another lady that I met that was just, you know, they have been literally speaking into my life ever since then. And it was amazing. Like, I didn't even know how God, you know, connected my books all the way in North Carolina, and this, that, and the other. But when 2014 Watchful Wednesday came out, it's a very powerful book. It was very awesome, did really well. And then I started immediately writing Tumultuous Thursday. Now, for me, whatever the title of the book is, that's the spiritual warfare I go through. And I was dreading Thursday because I just knew. And so Thursday was really one of those books. I wrote the book in 4 months, and it was a 400-page book. So that was amazing. I was like, okay, God, because he wanted it out on a specific, he gave me a specific day for that book to come out. And so, you know, I had to do it. And so that book, I was so drained after that book. Like, the warfare was internal. It wasn't my inner circle, but it was a circle close enough that it could hurt more than normal. And I was so done, and I was ready to quit. I was like, I'm going back to work. Y'all can have this foolishness. Like, I'm done with it. That's when I went to North Carolina, and those amazing warring women prayed for me, and they definitely restored me because I was spiritually drained. But in that visit to North Carolina, I got like some amazing prophecies, and it was like, wow, God, you really are listening. So all of this is not, you know, I'm not crazy, this, that, and other, blah, blah, blah. But you know how when you hear something from God, like, you immediately think it's gonna, even though you know better, you just immediately think it's gonna happen like this, or it's gonna happen like this, or your timing and his timing is completely something totally, totally different. So after that, you know, I felt like August of 2015 was just going to be this epic month in my life, that a lot of things that I had been waiting on God to do, he was just going to do. It was going to be super duper miraculous, and I was going to have this, you know, insane testimony. Well, it didn't happen that way. And it was really crazy because I think, like, internally, without realizing it, I was mad at God, you know, just like it was undertones. And so I kept pulling away, even though 2015 had been amazing. I did all this amazing traveling. It was a really good year for book sales, and I found out that I had a book club in the prison ministry. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But those last 4 months were so difficult because that same situation had come back around again. And a friend of mine, she journals when she talks to God, and she was struggling with something, so she had journaled it through, and she was like, she just kept writing what she heard, and when she went back to read it, God had talked to her. And when she looked at the answer, she was like, oh my God, like, this is him talking, because it's stuff she would never say, right? So I was like, okay, well, I done tried this, you're not talking. So I tried, and I wrote 3 questions. I'm not even gonna get all that technical, you know, just let me just get these 3 questions dealt with. So I'm in my closet, aka my war room. So I wrote out these 3 questions, right? And I don't feel like this is not necessarily like just stuff that I want. This is stuff that I need, stuff that I actually need, like stuff that's really going on in my life. So I write them out, and I'm sitting in the closet, and I'm listening. You know, I'm quiet, I'm still, I'm listening. Okay, a little while go by, I ain't heard nothing. I haven't heard anything. Still haven't heard anything. And then I was like, well, dang. And then all of a sudden, I heard, pick up your Bible. Okay, so I go pick up my Bible. And as soon as I opened it, it was open to Job chapter 38. And anybody who is familiar with the Bible, you already know. Okay, and at the top, you know how some Bible have headings, it said the Lord speaks. And I went to read, and when I tell you it's just God going off on Job, just going off, I tell you my feelings was so hurt. I'm talking about my feelings was so hurt. Like, I cried. I felt like God was mean. I felt like he was rude. I felt like he just really tried me. Like, I mean, he really just tried me. My feelings was too hurt. So I got in the closet, and I was just done. Like, I was just so hurt. Like, that thing really hurt my feelings. Because if you read the book of Job chapter 38, it's really like, it's really rough, right? And so I went ahead and read all the way through, and I quit. I was like, okay, God, I'm nothing, you're everything. I don't even know what to say at this point. And so he never answered the question. So this happened to be a time where I actually had to go directly and deal with something, and it was something I had never dealt with before. And I was like, okay, God, I don't really know what you're gonna do. And then later on that week, I kept hearing, just trust me. So the day of the just trust me. And so I think after my feelings got hurt, I talked to my best friend. And I'm one of those people, I don't really tell people what I'm going through, because I'm at this point where I just have faith in God that you're going to do what you said you're going to do. So, and everybody's faith is not where mine is, so I don't include other people in the conversation. And so when I talked to her, and I went off, and I'm going off, and I was really vulnerable, I think I kind of traumatized her a little bit, because she was like, okay. So the next day, she sent me an email, and she was like, okay, so you were tripping yesterday, and I was praying for you, and this is what God told me you needed to do. She said, for the rest of the day, you need to not go anywhere, not talk to anybody, not take phone calls, don't do anything. You need to sit still, and you need to listen. You need to hear from God, and you need to do this, that, and other. She laid out some things, and this is what you need to do. And so it was about 11 something, almost 12 o'clock when I got it. So it ended up, I was like, okay. She said, only if it's absolutely important do you engage in any type of conversation. So I think I had one client call that I had been going back and forth with, so maybe about 15 minutes. But other than that, it was just me and God. You know how hard it is to sit still? Like, just sit still. This lasted for 12 hours. And I fell asleep twice. I can't even lie. And in that time, and also along with what I was going through spiritually and emotionally and all of these things, I had work to do. I had deadlines to hit, and it was 6 weeks to the end of the year. And he gave me, he organized my life. He was like, on Mondays you do this, on Tuesdays you do this, on Wednesdays you do this, on Thursdays you do this, on Fridays you do this, Saturdays and this. And so it actually built in time for rest. And it was crazy, because when I came out of those 12 hours, the next day, that burden that I had carried, that all of that was just gone. It was gone. It was completely gone. I don't know what happened to it. I don't really care. It was just gone. There's something about resting in God, being still in God. And then I used the organization chart that he gave me, and in 6 weeks, by the end of the year, I had everything done. There was still time for free time. I read books. I hung out with my friends. I had a great time. Like, it was amazing. He like put my life in order. And so that's when I realized, and then when it was time for the event to come to that I was really afraid to deal with, that morning I laid out prostrate, praising God or whatever, and he said, be still and trust me. I was like, okay. And it is March of 2016. And God has worked all of that stuff out, and I know he's continuing to work everything else out. And so that was my struggle. That was my thing. You know, my thing was trust. And it's, one of the elders said something at church. He said, faith gets his attention, but trust gets him to move. And so it's like at some point we have to trust in the God that we serve. So I'm here to tell you today, if you have faith but you don't have trust, you really need to work on that trust. And every now and then, sometimes you have to just be still and let God be God. So I love y'all. Oh, this was a long one. Y'all have a blessed day. I love y'all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.